What's up, everybody? Coach Stefan here. I'm with one of our clients, Josh Bennett. Now, Josh and I did an interview when he was like 8 weeks into the program, and he was off to a really good start. And it's been several months later. How long have you been in? 7 or 8 months now? Or maybe
Yeah, it'd be 7 months now. 8 months.
8 months.
October
So
28th.
now he's in 8 months. I know when we first did the interview, I think you were down like 15 pounds, or you had some
Yeah.
like pretty good weight loss. Um, but I asked you to get on another interview because I'm like, okay, you've had a significant transformation in the last 5 months from when I last chatted to you, but 7 months in. So do you mind just introducing yourself for somebody that maybe didn't see the other one, and kind of giving like what you do for work, and then we'll kind of dive in. Cool.
Yeah. So obviously, like Stephen said, I'm Josh Bennett. I'm a lieutenant on a fire department out here. I just turned 42 in September. I kind of had been yo-yoing my entire life where diet went up, diet went down, weight went up, weight went down. And finally, one day, I just happened to come across his Instagram post, and without question, I just went in, pulled the trigger, and prayed for the best because I was nervous being an online thing, but then I pulled the trigger, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you said that too, because I mean, just like anything, right? You don't know till you do it, right? Even you could read every review on Amazon until it shows up at your door and
All
you take
right.
the product, you're like, ah, right? So, obviously we have a lot of good reviews, and we do these interviews so people feel comfortable. But let's just talk about your results, man. Like you said, you came in. What did you come in? What was your weight when you came in? You
So
know?
I weighed in February 11th. I weighed in at 272 is what
Okay.
I started out at.
And what are you today?
I weighed in this morning at 205. So
205. Yeah.
my plan is to try to get under 205 so I can meet my weight goal for tomorrow. That's
Okay.
kind of what I was trying to push for today. So
So you're down like what, 68,
68 pounds.
68 pounds in 7 months. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Um, and
I had knee surgery in April, so like I got an injury in work at work and on St. Patty's Day, so I was pretty much out of commission from middle of March until probably middle of May is when I started to like get back into the mindset that I needed to get moving again.
yeah, yeah. So 7 months down 68 pounds plus 2 months of, not being limited because of your knee surgery. I mean, dude, that's huge. So huge congratulations. But like, I'm sure people are wondering, okay, like how did you even do that? Did you starve yourself? Like, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of dedication, but walk me through what the process has been working with, your coach Ryan and Pursuit, and like how you've been able to accomplish that. Cause that's a lot in a short amount of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been pretty fortunate. Most of mine, I kind of started doing more research in my area to kind of find out what would help me and what would make stuff easier. Food was always my biggest problem.
It is
Uh,
for the whole community.
yeah, I was more of an emotional eater. I loved, whenever I get stressed or depressed or whatever, it was whatever food was around. Having kids made it even worse because
Yep.
there's always candy, snacks, cookies, all that stuff around. And so when I started really getting into this, and once I started seeing some results, it made it more convenient.
Yep.
Initially, we started with a calorie deficit to an extent. I think the lowest I ever went was 1,800 calories. Now I'm up to 2,000, but it was more protein driven initially, and now I do my macros. I'll be honest with you, I kind of cheat that. I found a meal prep guy that's in the area. So my breakfast is pretty consistently the same. And I told him what I needed as far as my lunch and dinner, and it gets delivered every Monday. So
You know what though? I don't think you're cheating it. I think that's working super smart. And here's the thing too, right? So Josh is saying, guys, that his nutrition was his biggest downfall, right? Well, number one, it is for everybody. Cops, firefighters, military, medical. All you guys inherently are not very good at nutrition. I know. Like I talk to literally thousands of people every year. It's okay. So we have a level of how much we can take control of something and hold the reins, right? And some of that starts with like shopping or what food you keep in the house. But Josh is just like, hey, look, I know that I'm kind of not the most responsible person with nutrition. And if it's there, I'll eat it. And so he just went and said, I'm going to kind of relinquish most of my control and make sure that everything that I need, prior preparation prevents poor performance, is set up. for him to succeed. So what he did is he's like, I'm going to go hire a meal prep company that delivers it for me, takes the thinking out of it. And just like the workouts, if we can take the thinking out of it, it's way easier to stay consistent. Right. And I mean, I think you did a really smart move where people are like giving it to you. I order meal prep foods and stuff like quite a bit because I want to just be able to do it, grab the package, enter it in the app and be like, that's it. Right. Because
Yeah.
it's the mental barrier. It's not that weighing your food is hard. It's the mental barrier. Like, oh, I got to like, what, scoop it in and weigh it out. And sometimes that is a barrier. I'm like, okay, if that's a barrier, how do we solve that? And
I try to
obviously for
tell
you.
people all the time that some of the biggest things for me that kind of I started to realize more once I started doing this is at the end of the day, my time is still worth something. So
Yeah.
if I can be more efficient doing other stuff instead of prepping the same meals. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. I get 10 meals a week from him. In the end, it's usually at least 5 different kinds of meals. So I usually get two of the same times,
Yeah.
times five. And I wouldn't do that. If I was meal prepping, I'd end up with the same
Yeah.
chicken breast, rice, and everything else. So this way I get, I get meatballs, I get salmon, I
Yeah.
get all sorts of stuff. So it made it, not only did it make it easier for me, but my wife, like our relationship as a couple, as a family, got 1,000 times better because there was no, hey, I need to eat this. She wasn't, she'd get home from work, didn't want to cook. I didn't want to cook. And, it was like just that added stress that didn't need it. Now we both get meals from the meal prep company. And honest
Smart.
to God, I think we're the best we've been in years.
Yeah. And it's not that expensive either. Like I don't know what your guy charges, but like I know the one that I go to, 12 to $15 a meal, and they're good. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, if you go to, I went to Chipotle yesterday, I got double steak and it was like 18, $19 with tax.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people like, 10 to $15 a meal is really not that bad. And not everything you're going to eat is meal prep. For example, like I would eat probably my breakfast at home and cook it fresh, but every other meal is meal prep that I'd take
Which
with
is
me.
exactly
So,
what I do. My
yeah.
breakfast is consistently it's eggs and bacon or eggs and something. And that was kind of what I did is so we get 16 meals. I think I pay you get 16 meals with some protein balls and stuff like that. And I think I pay 240. I think
Yeah, it's not
240
bad
for
at
the week.
all.
So I mean I can't complain at all. Like I tell people all the time, by the time I buy groceries, I spend my time prepping everything, I weigh everything, I get all that stuff ready to go, and then cook it and do everything. My time is worth something. I get to spend more time with my kids. I don't have to
Yeah.
concentrate on that. And
Yeah.
it's 2 minutes in a microwave.
Yeah. And it's opportunity cost too. Like a lot of our first responders, I go, how much can you make on overtime 1 hour? They're like, oh, I can make this much. I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know what I mean? Like, what's the cost difference of you like doing all this other stuff? And it's not that everybody has to meal prep. By the way, if you're watching this, we don't push meal prep. But what we do push is people finding solutions. If you want to weigh out your food and you want to do it, go ahead. I did that all my years in the military. Every Sunday night, I prep my food. I was super diligent. Every time I packed my lunch, I put it all in the app the day before I ate it. And it was just like clockwork and it took time. But at the same time, like I knew that I needed to track my macros consistently for at least a year to really understand how my body reacts to certain foods, how to manipulate it. And now for me, like I've been tracking for years and years and I can manipulate it and stay super lean. And that's kind of the ultimate goal for everybody. But obviously, if you're trying to lose, 60 pounds in 7 months, like you have to be pretty diligent, right? Um, let's talk about like where you were when you first came in. I mean, where were you mentally, physically, and where are you today? Like, what has that difference been?
Yeah, so I think that some of the big drive for me when I first started was the fact that I look at my job and setting an example as an officer of the department and stuff like that, and I'm looking at guys that are younger than me, and and I'm supposed to be setting an example for them, and I couldn't do the job. I mean, realistically, in the lack of better words, like I just couldn't do the job. I short of breath all the time, walking up a flight of stairs, I'd get tired, carrying a patient out of a house. Like those things made me tired. And, and I'd eat and I'd eat and I'd watch my pant size get bigger and stuff like that. And it was like I mentally just couldn't fix it. Not that I didn't know how to fix it. I owned a CrossFit gym once. I have a at-home gym and I still wasn't doing anything about it. So it was the more the mental barrier that I fought the most. And between that and the stress and everything else, it was a vicious cycle. It was just a tornado that I couldn't get out of. I will tell you that now I'm consistently working out every single day at home. I at work set the example as much as I can. I'm trying to, I try to push fitness now with the guys that I work with. Um, Most of the guys that I work with are kind of like, "Hey, wow, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Because the results kind of started to speak for themselves. When I started walking in, I started with you guys with a size 42 pant, and I'm currently at a 34.
Yeah,
So I've
jeez.
never in my entire life, even when I owned a CrossFit gym, didn't have abs. I've never been able to be like, oh, look, that's a six pack. Uh, I do now. Now I feel good. My confidence alone catapulted. So
Yeah.
now it's between having that confidence in myself, I have more confidence in everything else that I'm doing in life because it's been able to pour over my kids rely on me
Yep.
more. You know, Hearing my kids say, look at daddy's muscles and stuff like that. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how many compliments I get from people that I know and stuff like that. There is nothing better than having your kid notice it,
Yeah.
and if I can set that example for them to want to do it. My daughter comes out into the garage. She's 9 and
Yeah.
she's doing unassisted pull-ups with me. She's so being able to kind of set that example and do those things has kind of been the biggest part for me. And as much as when I first started with you guys, I said my goal was 210. I didn't want to be this bodybuilder. I didn't want to be all these things. Um, I lied. Now being able to see these results and stuff like that and actually see the muscle definition and whatnot and seeing how it's outpouring into the fact that, my wife's been dieting and paying more attention to what she's doing and my kids are getting more involved,
Yeah.
like it just made such a huge difference that now that initial goal of being 210-15 is not my goal now.
Yeah.
Now it's
Well,
got
I
to be
think sure. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I think people do it as a safety mechanism, right? People like for finances. I don't want to get like super rich. Yes, you do. I know you're saying that because you don't think it's achievable, but like you don't want $10 million. Like, come on, right?
right.
So people do it with the same thing. I don't want to get like too big. I don't want to get too ripped. I'm like, well, good, because it's really hard. Like,
Right.
it's something that takes some very dedication and time and effort, but you're doing the right thing. And I'm glad that we've helped you kind of keep the carrot right here, right? You don't actually ever want to eat the carrot because that's, I mean, that's what drives you forward. If you're like, yeah, I hit my goal, I'm done. Yeah, well, that's only a certain amount of time before you start to backslide a little bit and let your foot off the gas. Like we always want to kind of set these micro goals. Doesn't mean you don't hit them. Because like you said, the biggest goal for us too is like we want to help our clients, burn body fat, build muscle, increase their performance, which you've done all those very well. But it is way deeper than that, man. I'm a dad too, and married, and those are something where like you just show up differently. Like you show up as a different version of yourself. And sometimes it's even hard to articulate and explain. But like you said, when you increase your confidence and you take your like internal status and conversations from here to here, yeah, everything you do gets better. How you show up to work, how you lead, the energy you have with your kids, your, intimacy relationship with your spouse, just because, you feel better about yourself. I mean, it's so deep. And so, if somebody comes in and they're really willing to put in the work and make a transformation, as cliche as that sounds, like that's what happens, right? That's what's kind of
Yeah,
happening.
my in-laws just made a joke. They have a cottage up on the beach up in Massachusetts here, and we went up there and they were laughing because I this last time we went up there for my birthday in September and we were out on the beach and I had my shirt off and we were playing football with the kids and stuff like that. And my sister-in-law, we got back to the cottages and she goes, I have to tell you, as long as I've known you and as long as we've been coming up to the beach and doing all this, I could probably count on one hand how many times I've seen you take your shirt off at the beach. And I said, I was always super self-conscious
Yeah.
and everything else. And this time it wasn't even like I didn't even think about it. I was like, all right, playing
Yeah.
on the beach and stuff like that,
That's
and
awesome.
so
Yeah. That's good, man. Well, let me ask you this because I'm sure people are curious, right? Because we work with first responders specifically. how's the program been on? I mean, I'll ask you kind of a shotgun of questions as far as, well, number one would be just like the scheduling, because that's really what all of our career fields have in common more than anything else is the crazy schedule. So how has it been with your coach being able to like adapt it towards you, your lifestyle, your goals, where you are physically?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, Ryan and I have made an unbelievable friendship out of this. Like I consider him more of a friend now than I would a coach. We
Yeah.
talk, I don't know, probably multiple times a day, if not more. I mean, I think the only day I don't talk to him is on Sunday, and that's because we both do our family stuff.
Yeah.
So um, but as far as the accommodating stuff, like there are days I just recently, out of all of this, I just recently started trying to work out while I was at work. It was more like just tough to fit it in. I always felt bad when I would just step away from the group to go do my stuff. But then I have that type A personality now where it's like I have to get my workouts in. And so
Yeah.
I would double up on days that I would just wouldn't do it on days that I worked, and then I'd double up the next day. And I noticed that workload was just getting to be a lot. So I started changing it up, and now I'll move my days around, but I get scheduled 5 to 6 workouts. I like having the 6 workouts because if he doesn't give me a workout, I just create my own.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in
Yeah.
this mental state,
Yeah.
like I told him, my foot's on the throttle, and I I don't really see an end in sight at the moment.
Yeah. It's
I
good.
kind of like where I'm at. I like the drive. I like being able to push.
Yeah. It just comes and it becomes part of your lifestyle, right? And it's cool that you went from, maybe only working out a few days a week to now 5 to 6 because it's just like part of who you are, right?
Yeah,
I get a lot of questions. People are like, dude, how are you so consistent? I think I've been lifting for probably 17, 18 years and I don't really miss days unless I'm, sick or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's just who I am. It's just part of me. In fact, I feel more abnormal if I don't go to the gym, right?
yeah.
And that's kind of like a mountain. Like it's a little bit of work to get there mentally, but once you get there, it's all downhill because it's like, yeah, Josh, don't go to the gym for 4 days. You're like, dude, I'd go crazy. I'm like, cool,
Oh,
we've won, right? Because now you're like, oh, that's just part of who I am. Like I need to go. It's kind of my mental health. It's this. It's the it makes me feel good. It makes me confident. And why would you not want to achieve that, right? Versus maybe when you first came was like, oh, I got to go to the gym. Oh, I got to
yeah.
go do this, right? Like
Yeah, I think when I first started with you guys, I think Brian had me working out. I think my workouts were about 3 times a week. And then he started noticing that once I started feeling better, I was adding in on those days that I wasn't working out through the program. And so he would be like, all right, now we're gonna step to 4. We're gonna do, and then we're gonna add more. And now he's just like, all right, dude, I gave you 6. I know you're gonna do 7, but here's 6, and that was kind of the big thing. Like we had a extremely rough Thursday night, a Thursday shift. We did, I don't know, 19, 20 calls in our shift with four people. We were up legitimately from 7 a.m. to 7
oh,
a.m. I think we maybe got to lay down for a half hour.
jeez.
I came home on Friday and I fell asleep on the couch for a few hours, and I woke up and I was like, I gotta go work out. I will tell you, I had zero energy to do it. I had zero desire to do it. But in my head, I was like, I have to work out. It was a slow workout. It wasn't my most
Yeah.
efficient. I increased my weight, so I still was able to kind of step it up. But, it was still that drive of like, all right, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. That's cool that you've developed like that much discipline and stuff. And it takes time. I mean, you've made really good progress. And we've had clients lose 75 pounds in a year. You've seen in the community, like there's other people that are
Yeah.
crushing, have some big weight loss goals. It's not just you. But yeah, I think we've seen a huge shift. And that's part of the reason for those of you watching, we do also do like scholarships, or we give away partial and full scholarships for this community. And Josh was actually one of the winners this time around, just because he's made such a freaking awesome transformation. And we know we want to keep kind of continuing to give back to that community. So, yeah, man, a thing too that I kind of want to touch on is just what has been, I guess, the experience with just Pursuit in general, like the customer service and tentative, because that's probably the biggest concern I hear for online is like two things. Number one, are you guys good at what you do? I'm like, I don't know, read our reviews, look at the transformation. So maybe, but people are also scared. Like, is my coach going to accommodate me? Are these people jerks? Are they going to be good communicators? So from day one to now, I mean, how has it been with just the team in general?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I had concerns when I first started. It was obviously it's a big chunk of money to commit and not have any sort of like true knowledge of it. I mean, in the world we live in, everything's easy to kind of hide to,
Yeah.
oh, look, I have this transformation. Who knows where those pictures came from and all
Yeah.
that other stuff. So you have that hesitation and that fear. But I'll tell you, I did my onboarding with I think I did it with you and with Bryce both. And then I got assigned to Ryan. When I first met Ryan, I kind of had that hesitation of like, what did I just get myself into? But I'll tell you that I have zero regrets with this. I've had, I jumped more. I'm not really a social media kind of thing, but I have been posting a ton about Pursuit. I have been posting a ton about on the school app. Because ultimately at the end of the day, like what I've done is no secret. It truly isn't.
No, it's not.
What you guys have given me is the tools to do it, and I may be the guy swinging the hammer, but at the end of the day, you guys, Pursuit has made it easy for me. I don't have to come up with my own workouts. I don't have to create this stuff, and results are truly driven off of the individual, and I truly do believe that. I think that some
Yeah.
people struggle a little bit more than others, and I'm fortunate enough that I think when I first started talking to Ryan, I told him, I was like, I'm going to be the poster child of Pursuit. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And and he
Fair
laughed.
enough.
He finally said a few weeks ago, he's like, "Ah, man, you did it." He's
Yeah.
like, he's like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the surprise to him and to me. I mean, honestly, I didn't think I was going to be as successful as I've been. And I still don't think that truly, I don't believe that anything I've done is special. I don't think that I'm this, anything that I haven't done anything that anybody else can't do. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Pursuit helped me find. And I think that's the nice part about being with the company is, I think I talk to you pretty consistently. I talk to Bryce. I still harass Bryce as much as I can. I hear he slacks off on his workouts a little bit lately, but I will just, it is what it
Yeah.
is. Um, but that's been the nice part about it is that you kind of created more of a friendship, which made it easier to the accountability. It made the accountability harder for me to try to avoid because you feel like you're letting a friend down, not a guy you just paid to tell you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing too, is we do want to establish like legit relationships. I mean, I've had a couple clients. I don't really do one-on-one clients anymore, but I have some people that have been with me 4 years, and it's like, we're probably know every facet. And so, they're super consistent and it's like, man, I don't want to let this person down. They put in so much effort for me. And so the longer, you work with your coach, I think the more you develop the bond. And like, even for Coach Mike, did his clients love him, like love him. They're like, yeah, go Mike, so that's what we want. We want to establish that relationship and we want to make it easy. And you said something which was really, powerful where you're like, hey, it's not anything like there's no secret. I'm not special. It's true, right? The biggest thing is when you joined, you were in enough pain where you're like, enough's enough. Right. So number one, you got to get there. And that's why we have like an interview before people even join is like, hey, where are you mentally? Where are you emotionally? Where are you financially? Like, are you ready? Because if you are, we're going to give you all the tools. We're going to be there. We're going to be good communicators. We're going to do all these things for you, but you kind of have to be at that spot. I can't twist your arm. I can't necessarily babysit you. Luckily for you, you were in enough mental, physical pain where you're like, dude, I'm done. Right. Like you already kind of had the mind made up. However, you didn't want to get in the same spot where you're like, am I going to try it and beat my head against the wall? Or am I really going to be like, hey, everything's laid out so I can just go execute, which is guys, like whoever's listening to this, that we know who we work with. Like I know that most firefighters, cops, military work really well off of like, I need a plan, I need structure so I could just go do it. But when you start thinking of like how all these things are going to fit together, you start talking yourself out of it. I'm tired. Oh, I work long and my schedule's not consistent and blah, blah, blah. And you think of all these barriers. And what we want to do is just lower them. Like what's keeping you from going to the gym? Cool. Let's solve that. What's keeping you from prepping your food? Cool. Let's solve that. And then obviously along the way, like building the relationship. So yeah, man, like I said, I had to do like kind of a follow-up, interview with you since the first one was, 15 pounds down. Now you're 68 and not
Yeah.
probably stopping anytime soon. I'm sure, in another 6 months, you'll be shredded and like freaking looking like
That's
Wolverine. So
that's the plan right now. I mean, I think right now I think Ryan's looking at reverse dieting me come I think another 5 weeks or so, 5, 6 weeks. Uh, I honestly like I'm willing and and I'd love to. That's why I started posting more on social media is if I can help people find that niche, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it just takes that leap. And once you make that leap, it's having the support and being able to rely on somebody or talk to somebody and stuff like that just makes a tremendous difference. And that's been the biggest thing for me. And like honestly, my wife has been tremendous through this. There's definitely days that I haven't been as involved at home because I have been so concentrated on having to get my workout in and I sacrifice some of the family time for that stuff. But now that I'm kind of where I'm at, the family time has gotten so much better because now I'm mentally
yeah,
my mental state has been night and day to where I was.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Well, we're proud of you. We're
Thanks, man.
proud of you. We were honored to give you the scholarship, and yeah, I mean, I've seen you kind of come out of your shell. I get it. You're not like the most community social media person, which are like probably 80% of the dudes in the program, right? Which look, it's not it's the cherry on top. I tell people that I probably told you when you came in too. Like you don't have to participate, but your transformation, your results even had other people join. They like look at what you've accomplished and they're like, dude, that could be me. That could be me. That's why we do these, guys. That's why we do these. That's why I send you our Google page. That's why I send, full transparency. Like, look, because online can be sketchy, number one. And number two, it's like I want people to see that it is possible, right? And like you said, you don't have superpowers, right? You're just a guy, family guy, hard worker that is just like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired and being overweight and having a belly. And like, I can't live like this. I'm not showing up as the leader I need, like I should have been. Probably in a way, maybe you felt like you were letting down like the home life side of things because you're the out of shape dad. Now look at you, like 7 months later, you got abs, completely different. So like this is just a testament, guys. Like it can be done. Did Josh have some of the best results in our program? Absolutely. Not everybody makes Josh's, progress, but there's also tons and tons of other people that, which I could rattle off, but you guys can check out that have, 3 pounds in, down 20, 30 pounds, 6 pounds, 6 months in, down 40 pounds, like because they just made up their mind that like enough was enough. I mean, that was the biggest thing because at that point, it's like, hey, just totally trust your coach, which, trust is built, but trust your coach. Things will go well. And yeah, dude, overall, we're just proud of you. So I appreciate you jumping on and
Yeah.
kind of, telling people kind of where you are now. So
No, it's been awesome. Like I said, I've even talked to Ryan. My plan right now, especially because of the results, I've been so happy with how everything has happened that my plan is to make a trip down to Arizona to see what it's like down there again.
yeah, man, dude, we'll all have to meet up when you come down here.
Absolutely.
Cool, cool, man. Well, I'll let you get back to your family. Appreciate you jumping on and kind of giving people a rundown. And congrats, 68 pounds down in 7 months is pretty insane. But I know it's like just the beginning too, right? Like you're just scratching the surface. So it's awesome.
I'm happy with where I'm at, and I don't, like I said, my goal, I already blew by my goal, and now I've already started pushing towards the next, and what's the next, what's next. So
Yeah, love it, dude. Love it. Cool, Josh. Well, it's good catching up with you, man. Appreciate you jumping on.
absolutely.